under your butts.
Man, I love everything JoJo. From the anime to the video games and especially the manga, which I've totally read before. But what's near and dear to me is the recent anime adaptation of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of David Pro's work on JoJo's, but this season, it has something special. Everything from the huge artistic shift from Part 3, including the addition of abstract colors and backgrounds, the more slim and trim character designs, especially them pouty lips, dude, cute boys, to the massive cast of offbeat yet relatable characters. This all comes together to create an unforgettable season of JoJo. But you know, if I was to be perfectly honest, what I appreciate above all else this season is Josuke punching a plate of spaghetti! Oh boy, do I love a good spaghetti meme. All jokes aside, let me break down what allows Part 4 to shine amongst the rest of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the slice of life approach. So, slice of life. It sounds kind of boring on paper. It's a style of storytelling where the audience gets to experience the day-to-day life of a character or a group of characters without an overarching plot, typically focusing on character interactions and character growth rather than a centralized narrative. So technically, it's a show about nothing.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
For one reason or another, one of my childhood favorite TV shows, Boy Meets World, always comes to mind as an excellent example of slice of life. It's a sitcom following Corey Matthews, and to a lesser extent, his friends and family, from his middle school days all the way to college. We watch on as he grows up, all the while learning of his aspirations, laugh at his older brother's goofs, and crack a smile as Corey tries to figure out girls. I've really grown to love this style of storytelling because you grow to relate and also appreciate the main character's struggles and successes. For anime, think K-On! Not anime, King of the Hill? Part 4 uses the slice of life format in a unique way, retaining the day-to-day structure, focusing on character growth and interaction, while also including an overarching plot. There's a great deal of character-heavy stuff going on in the background as the central narrative moves onward. Yet, despite having a focused plot, Part 4 still makes plenty of room for smaller plot threads, some involving romance, family drama, cute ghost girls, and of course, my favorite, fine Italian cuisine. I love the good spag punch. It'll be the last one, I promise. Okay, that sounds really busy, but it actually all comes together nicely. I'll show you. It takes what we've seen before, following a relatively small cast of high school boys, Josuke, Okuyasu, and Koichi, as they live in the small Japanese town of Morocho. Their lives are fairly normal, going to school, studying, hanging out with friends, dating girls, going hunting, avoiding stalkers, tracking serial killers, and fighting evil stand users. You know, typical teenager stuff. It never seems boring living in Morocho. And to no one's surprise, the source of all the bizarre adventures leads back to the biggest, baddest boy around. It was him, Dio. It's speculated that back in Part 3, Dio obtained a stand as a byproduct of being pierced by a magical bow and arrow, owned by his faithful lackey, Enyaba. Ugh, I hate her. As fate would have it, somehow the mysterious bow and arrow found its way to Morocho, and so does the no-nonsense buff boy from Part 3, Jotaro. And this time, guys, he's wearing white. Such a contrast! Jotaro teams up with his teenage uncle Josuke and Morocho locals to find and destroy this dangerous relic. Okay, real quick, yes, it's really weird to have a teenage uncle, but this is JoJo, dude. I mean, bizarre is in the title. Also, can you blame Joseph Joestar for sexing this woman? That's a good MILF. This serves as the main plot thread throughout most of Part 4, which sounds like it would be at odds with the slice of life setup, yet it manages to combine the best of both shonen and slice of life. Most of part 4 is focused on the main plot in some way, whether it be hunting down the bow and arrow, finding out info, or dealing with the main antagonist of this arc. The non-plot centric episodes play out like a good old-fashioned coming-of-age slice-of-life anime, with a dash of JoJo absurdity. These are the episodes I keep coming back to. They're more lighthearted, we get great character development, and for the most part, they're really freaking weird. For instance, there's this great arc where Josuke befriends a shape-shifting alien. I don't know why, but there's aliens in this series. So in which later he can cheat in a dice game with local manga artist Rohan that ends with Rohan's house tragically on fire. It's pretty bizarre, to say the least. These slice of life episodes could be considered filler, as they serve as buffer between major plot dumps and intense stand battles. But that would be a disservice to the rich character growth and interactions. Like in the alien arc I was talking about earlier, it sounds like a bunch of unrelated crazy boosh with an alien and ending with the house on fire, but its purpose was to deepen the relationship between Josuke and Rohan, aka making Rohan hate Josuke more, but I digress. The small moments found in these episodes make the characters, their motivations, and their relationships more complex and compelling. No such arc illustrates this better than what I lovingly refer to as the Ed, and Eddie arc. Essentially, this 2-episode arc follows Josuke and his best bud Okuyasu as they become business partners with an awkward, chubby, spiky-haired middle schooler named Shigekio Yangu, or as his parents call him, Shigechi. Similar to an episode of Ed, and Eddie, this newly formed trio has a singular goal. No, not jawbreakers, but rather cold, hard cash. Josuke and Okuyasu recognize Shigechi's stand, Harvest, is a cash cow. Harvest is composed of 500 small bumblebee-looking gremlins that can scout out an entire city and carry back whatever its user desires. We see this at the beginning of the episode. Shigechi celebrates his heaping pile of 1 yen coins as the 2 teenagers marvel at his money-making skills. This leads to a rather awkward encounter, as Shigechi is quickly brought to tears as he considers these 2 strangers as his first friends. His first friends! He doesn't even know them! What a sweet boy! Shigechi then hastily offers his collected money to them as a token of friendship, but that feels off to Josuke. You see, despite being kind of a shitty person, Josuke has some pride. Josuke admits to Oku that he wants the money, but feels kinda weird just taking it off the kid. Instead, he offers an equal business partnership. This is Ed, and Eddie. Josuke devises a plan involving collecting lost and unwanted stamps, vouchers, lottery tickets, and coupons. First, Shigechi uses his stand to collect all previously mentioned items. After everything is collected, Josuke uses his stand, Crazy Diamond, to repair everything to their original form. And then, profit! They return all restored vouchers and coupons to their respective stores for cash or trade them in for goods. In doing so, the boys manage to pull together 61,000 yen. Josuke and Oku exclaim they couldn't have done it without Shigechi. The boy now has confidence. Money, 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 motherfucker. Which instantly screws over Josuke and Okuyasu, as now they only receive 10k instead of their agreed half. I love this encounter so much. Not only do we get to see Josuke in his prime, using his wits to come up with a scheme that will net him a ton of cash, but we also get to see Okuyasu act as his hype man. Granted, Oku doesn't bring a lot to the table here initially, but his sincere and excited reaction to just about everything gives me so much life, guys. He's such a pure happy boy. I love him. But aside from that, you get to see a lot of growth from this new character, Shigechi. At first, he's this super awkward kid, just excited that these older guys even want to talk to him. And then he becomes more power hungry as he realizes how useful his stand can be. It's interesting that Shigechi's greed awakens as soon as he's told he's of worth. And then he promptly betrays his agreement with his friends. Like, What a shitbag. Something about that feels revolting, yet genuine at the same time. Look, I'm no Shigechi apologist here, but the way Shigechi reveals his greedy nature as their plan goes successfully feels somewhat believable, especially considering what little we do know about him. He's a lonely, awkward kid that's into collecting things. And this pairs beautifully with our heroic scumbags Josuke and Okuyasu, who are only using the kid to make a quick buck. To have their partnership already have problems feels organic and sets a stage for their troublesome friendship. You would think this would be the end of the Ed, Edd and Eddy saga, but it only leads to their second plan. While Shigechi and Josuke enjoy their celebratory ice-cold beverages, Oku decides to go through their collection of unused lottery tickets. And wouldn't you know it, Okuyasu finds the winning lottery ticket worth 5 million yen. Nani the heck? The rest of this plan shifts gears into a stupidly tense confrontation as the trio tries to convince a skeptical bank manager their winning ticket is theirs and totally not something they found. With Josuke's quick wits and stand trickery, they convince the bank manager and receive a promissory note that they can cash in 3 days later. Unfortunately, the celebration is cut short as Shigechi declares he doesn't want to share the money. This sets off the sensitive Okuyasu and he slugs the baby boy. The rest of the episode is a sequence that's more goofy than it is thrilling as Josuke and Okuyasu chase down and fight Shigechi, the result of which makes Shigechi realize what a greedy little shit he's been, and they decide to split the 5 mil equally. These character interactions work as a foundation not only for this budding friendship, but also as a storyline for the main plot to build off of. Another off-topic reason why I love this arc is that it shows how Stan users can use their abilities in clever, non-violent ways. Despite the absurdity of this arc, it's still somewhat relatable. We've all had a friend that might be a little too greedy or quick to anger, or heck, maybe even convince you to be a part of a great plan. The adventures of stupid boys doing stupid things is something we've all experienced or seen secondhand. As pure and fun as this budding friendship is, it sets the stage for something much more sinister. A few episodes later, we have the Sandwich arc, aka Yoshikage Kira wants to live quietly. This is similar to the Slice of Life episodes, but it also deals with the main plot, as it follows Yoshikage Kira, the serial killer of Morocho. Kira's pretty unusual as far as JoJo villains go. He doesn't want to rule the world or in the JoJo bloodline, he only wants to live a quiet life. And also murder young girls and fetishize their hands? Yeah, I guess he's a bit more complex than Dio. Anyways, we find Kira sitting under a tree enjoying a picnic, savoring his Sir Gentleman sandwich with his current favorite rotting hand. As he finishes his sandwich, he notices the hand has gone bad and he needs to discard it, temporarily placing it inside his sandwich bag. Cut to Josuke and Okuyasu running into Shigechi at the very same park, who also has a Sir Gentleman sandwich. At this point in time, the boys aren't aware that Kira is the killer yet. They only know that there is a killer in Morocho. Josuke and Okuyasu ask to borrow money from Shigechi so they could get a nice lunch too. While recording the money loan, a stray doggy steals Shigechi's Sammy. Afterwards, Shigechi mistakes Kira's Sir Gentleman sandwich bag as his own, and the rest of the episode plays out as Kira stalks Shigechi around town trying to get his rotting hand back. This leads to a scene where Shigechi, Josuke, and Okuyasu are eating lunch in the middle school teacher's lounge, while Kira is hiding underneath gym equipment. It's incredibly tense, as you don't want Kira to get found and also get his stinky hand back without involving any of these sweet boys. And somehow, he does it. Kira manages to swipe the sandwich bag discreetly. Unfortunately, Shigechi takes notice. Shigechi immediately puts the blame on his friends because really, who can resist a delicious Sir Gentleman sandwich? But before Shigechi gets a chance to search the room, a teacher busts in, discovers the boys in the lounge, and promptly kicks them out. Shortly afterwards, Kira leaves the premises victorious, and we have a sigh of relief, for at the moment, it seems like things might just work out. That is, until a spiky-haired chubster we know and love calls him out. Remember folks, Shigechi leaves no sandwich behind. Shigechi gets his sandwich back with the power of harvest and realizes this is a stinky human ham and not his delicious Sammy. Kira realizes there's only one way out now. He's gotta kill the boy. Shigechi is instantly outmatched and runs away, desperately searching for his friends. Kira uses his stand, Killer Queen, to explode Shigechi to ashes before he even reaches them. Before Shigechi completely fades away, he somehow manages to grab a button off of Kira's exceedingly fashionable jacket and deliver it to Josuke. This whole event sets the rest of the cast in motion. We got to find Shigechi's murderer. The meticulous pacing and goofy adventures in the Ed, Edd and Eddy arc that leads to the sandwich stuff with Kira is my favorite sequence of events in part 4. It does a great job of setting up a murder mystery with a smoking gun, but we also have a ton of fun along the way. Upon my first viewing, Shigechi's death hit me hard, a lot harder than most of the deaths in the series. Upon many repeated viewings, I realized this death isn't impactful due to the suddenness of it, but rather because we grew to care about this spiky-haired chubby little baby boy. We saw Shigechi grow from a greedy, lonely child and saw him mature from hanging out with Josuke and Okuyasu. It makes you wonder what kind of schemes they might have run later on, or even what kind of person Shigechi would grow up to be. Araki's decision to splice in these slower, methodical slice-of-life episodes to build up or lead into the classic over-the-top JoJo plot easily makes it my favorite part in the series. Getting to know our main characters and even secondary characters better with often humorous or in exceedingly strange situations allows the audience to connect and want to care for these characters. In earlier parts of JoJo, there were a ton of cool characters thrown our way, but it could be hard to remember or even care about them when the focus was primarily on the main character. The change to allow for a bigger, varied cast and slower pacing to tie in with a slow burn plot gives the audience so much time to soak it all in. But more importantly, it allows for events, characters, and the plot to carry much more weight. The combination of slice-of-life storytelling with a centralized narrative allows us to connect to these characters while also building the plot in unforeseen ways. Diamond is Unbreakable is chock full of these great moments that only elevate the characters, the fights, and storytelling. If anything in this video sounded remotely interesting to you, I highly suggest you check out JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable.